Welcome back to Inside Politics. Our guest today is Speaker of the House of the Tennessee House of Representatives, Beth Harwell. Speaker Harwell, during the current session, you personally sort of became the poster child or poster lawmaker for those who are unhappy with the legislature because they haven't expanded health care access under the governor's Insure Tennessee program. Your name and phone number was up on these billboards all over the state asking folks to call you and urge you to take action about it. Did your phone ring a lot?
Well, I can't say it rang a lot, but I do appreciate my name ID going up a little bit. But I tell you, I think
that's how you want it on a billboard like that?
You know what, really, it was a very good billboard because it just said call and get involved. It wasn't negative toward me at all. And I always appreciate people's input into the process. I think it was a good thing.
Now, one of those who helped fund those outdoor billboards was Nashville philanthropist and businesswoman Martha Ingram. She was quoted as saying that she didn't see how lawmakers could sleep at night because of not acting on Insure Tennessee and doing something to help people who need health care. What's your response to that? Are you sleeping okay?
Actually, I had a very nice conversation with Mrs. Ingram, and I think she's on board with what we're attempting to do now. I think we do see the need to bring Tennessee dollars back to Tennessee, and we are certainly working toward that.
Now, the focus on you during the session about Insure Tennessee was not just the billboards. They had things going on. Some of the protesters came into your office. They sat in the door in your office, did some other things. Did that make you mad? How did your staff think about that?
It didn't make me angry at all. Again, I welcome citizens to come to the Tennessee General Assembly. The irony of this is that the state Senate voted it down twice. It was completely dead in the Senate. This legislative session, the governor didn't even introduce it, so there was no bill before us to vote for or against.
Now, the polls out there that are taken about Insure Tennessee get some pretty large numbers in favor of it. You're right, lawmakers don't seem to have much support. So, are lawmakers missing the boat? Or is the public ahead of lawmakers about this? They want some action about this, and lawmakers aren't doing anything?
Well, we are right now doing something. I mean, we are looking for a way to come up with a proposal that can pass the Tennessee General Assembly. We're looking at what has worked in other states and what hasn't worked in other states. And so I think by the time January rolls around, we will have a proposal before the General Assembly that will be positive. We worked with the Tennessee Hospital Association this past week. I think we're in a very good place.
Now, you mentioned you've put together a legislative task force to look at this issue. You did it sort of late in the session. This issue's been around for a while. Why did you wait until almost the end of session to get started on it?
Because we have been working with Vanderbilt University for over a year and a half now to kind of work through what could possibly be approved by the federal government and also receive approval at the state legislature. And it took convincing on my part to bring to the table the right people to get something done. That wasn't the case with Governor Haslam's program, where it was just pretty much put in the legislature's lap. Now instead we've got something coming from the legislature up that will have your chairman of commerce and insurance, your chairman of health, your chairman of the fiscal review committee, all sitting in a room together saying this is what we can get done. I'm very positive about what we can do.
Now, in terms of Insure Tennessee, Governor Haslam did work with federal officials for well over a year to put together his plan. In terms of your committee, do you want that group to use that as sort of a broad outline of what to do, or is it take out a clean sheet of paper and start all over again?
Absolutely. You know, we're not reinventing the wheel, and Governor Haslam is fully on board with this initiative that I have going right now. So I think feel good with the governor's administration. TennCare is helping us devise it. Vanderbilt's helping us, so we're in a good place. You
mentioned Vanderbilt a couple times when you first appointed the panel, and you mentioned it here today. What kind of ideas have you gotten from Vanderbilt that you're helping to incorporate into this?
Well, there's a wealth of knowledge on that campus, and Dr. Mutton has been very helpful in looking at what other states have been able to phase in, what other pilot programs have worked, ways to return Tennessee dollars back to Tennessee in what is a manageable approach to increasing access to care.
Now, you've mentioned that you want this group to come back and report to you, I think, by June. Is that correct?
At the end of June, yes.
That's a pretty quick. What happens after that? The one thing I haven't heard as part of the process is how do you get the federal government involved? Because much like Governor Haslam, you're going to have to take whatever plan your committee comes up with and run it back through them to get their sign-on before you take it to the legislature.
Right, and that's the good news, because Governor Haslam is fully committed to this. He was there when we announced this, and so TennCare Director is also fully on board. So I feel very good that we'll have to help the administration, the TennCare Bureau, to get this passed in Washington.
this is something that you may need, quite frankly, in your re-election effort this year, because you do have at least one Democratic opponent, and there are a number of women who are running across the state for whom Insure Tennessee is the most important issue they're going to be running on. So this will give you something to talk about, right?
Well, with the supermajority legislature, Republican, we need to come up with something that is measurable and conservative enough that we can get passed in the Tennessee General Assembly. That's the key. We can't keep beating our head up against the wall. We have to come up with an idea that can pass the Tennessee General Assembly.
You've taken this, the committee so far has met in various parts across the state, which is something the governor's did not do in putting his plan together.
That's correct.
Do you think that was a weakness, or did that create a weakness in what the governor put in? Why would going around the state make any difference?
Because you have to have buy-in. For every person that calls my office in favor of the expansion, there were this many calling in against the expansion. That we're only hearing for those that are for now. When the actual bill was proposed 2 years ago, there were many people that calling in against. So I think we're starting a new day, and that we have taken this across the state, everywhere from East Tennessee to West Tennessee, to garner support from the people that we need support from.
In watching the debate that went on up on the Hill, every time Insure Tennessee comes up, either on the floor or just among conversation, it seems to be a lot of the opposition over the years was strictly because of President Obama. They thought it was something that President Obama was trying to cram down people's throat. Obamacare was what they called it. Will you have a better chance with whatever you come up with, because President Obama will not be in office when the legislature comes back in 2017?
I believe we will. But more important than that, I think my members needed assurance that we weren't getting in over our head. Many other states felt like they had bitten, like Kentucky, Arkansas, and they had taken on more than they could handle. So we want to make sure that we have something that is manageable, that's phased in, that at the end of the day, Tennesseans can do what they always do, is continue the tradition of sound fiscal policy for our state.
Since I brought up the current president, we don't know who the new president will be in 2017, but among Republicans, Hillary Clinton is not somebody they want to see as president. If she is president and you've got this plan, is your plan automatically dead on arrival because
it will
be approved by her administration?
No, I don't think so. And in fact, I think we could still win approval under this current administration, because what better than a red state participating? So I think there's still hope here, but I also think that if Hillary Clinton is elected president, she does have an understanding of states and the need for states to be laboratories of change. We know that the present health care, Obamacare that's currently in place, is not fully funded, is adding to our debt, does have some issues. So I think they're going to be looking for ways to save money in traditional health care and coverage.
Tennessee House Speaker Beth Harwell is our guest on Inside Politics. Our conversation continues with her on other topics after this break.